call the July Greater New Haven WPCA meeting to order. Debbie, would you read the roll call, please? She's on, isn't she?
Yeah.
Hang on, we can't hear Debbie. Joyce on?
I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm here.
Yeah,
Can you
okay.
hear me?
We can see you, Joyce.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Del Signo. Robert Pompano.
He's here.
Steve Anchillo.
Here.
Russell Sear.
Here.
Jeffrey Ginsburg.
Here.
Clayton Williams.
Here.
Michael Fabiani.
Here.
Thank you, Debbie.
So Signo's the only one out? Who's the only one out?
Del Signo.
Item one, excuse me. Item one on the agenda, approval of the minutes of the June 9th, 2020 regular meeting. Will someone move that?
I will move it.
Clayton, do I have a second?
Second.
Joyce, thank you.
Is Glenn here present in the meeting?
Yes, he is.
Here, yes.
Where is he? I don't see him.
He's on audio.
I'm on the audio, Jeff, which is where the public called in to make sure the audio is working properly.
Okay. Who's the other person on audio?
Mario.
Okay.
Are there any corrections, omissions, additions to the minutes?
Yeah, Russell's on.
Thank you.
Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the minutes?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Public participation. Item
Mr.
two.
Chairman, Steve, this is Glenn. Can I just back up for 1 second? Because just for the record, because we're being recorded, I did not hear all the board members. I heard Joyce, I heard Mike Fabiani, I heard you, Steve, I heard Jeff, Russ Sear, but I didn't hear as to Sal DeCola. Is he present?
On the video.
I am.
Debbie took the roll call.
I'm here.
No, it couldn't be heard.
Okay, no
And
problem. I couldn't hear her.
Okay,
Clayton is there?
but Debbie has it.
Yeah, I know. For the public, if there's public on the call, I want to make sure they know who's at the meeting.
Oh, you're talking about the roll call?
No.
Yes. Yes.
Everybody.
So for the roll call, for the purpose of the public hearing who's at the meeting, Sal
Okay.
is present, I just heard.
Would
Is
you like?
Clayton present?
Everybody's here except Bob Falsigno, Glenn. For the record.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, item two, public participation. Bernie, do we have anyone?
I don't see anyone from the public, anyone that we don't know.
Glenn, did you hear that? No one's here from the public.
Thank you, Steve.
Item three.
Item number 3, resolved that in accordance with section 2.16 small I of the bylaws, by the affirmative vote of 2/3 of the board of directors of the authority, the cancellation of the August 11th, 2020 regular meeting of the board is hereby approved.
Thank you, Clayton. Do I have a motion?
I'll move that.
Mike, thank you. Second?
Second.
Right.
That was Russ. Yes.
Steve, you have one number just came in here.
Okay.
Who it is.
Is it 467?
467.
That's probably Falsigno.
0087.
Yeah, that's fine.
604.
Okay, we had a number come in. It's one of our board members. So we have a motion to cancel the August meeting. Any comment on that?
I think we should hold the meeting unless there's some good cause as to why we shouldn't. I feel like we're very disconnected because of the coronavirus, and we don't get to meet in person. this is a poor substitute. I think that we should keep our contact going through the coronavirus, even if it means having another virtual meeting in August. That's my opinion.
Thanks, Jeff. Good point. Anyone want to comment on that?
Yeah, Sal DeCola here. I'm in agreement. Seeing the charts, we had a slight uptick in that Yale professor. And we had some cases in the summer program where 2 children got the virus. My concern is that what's going on with the rest of the country, we're going to get an upswing. And I think we need to be on board and ready to go for anything, because this is a very unstable time in our country. That's just my opinion on that.
Agreed.
What do we do, amend the resolution, Glenn, or do we just not? We just
Withdraw
move
it.
from it. We withdraw it.
Down. Or we can vote it down.
We can take a vote to table it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody make a motion to table.
I make the motion to table it on the basis that we should stay in contact through this COVID. It's a very fluid situation, and that there's no need for us to discontinue the August meeting date.
Okay, do we need a first and second on that? I mean, a second?
Yes.
I'll second that.
Please.
Thanks, Mike. And I just want to ask management if there's any issue with continuing to have it. Okay, we're clear on that. So all those in favor of the amended motion?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 4.
Item number 4, resolved that the agreement with the lowest responsible bidder for CIPP lining installation services for Olive Street in New Haven in an amount not to exceed $950,000 as further described in the exhibit to agenda item number 4 is hereby approved, and the executive director, Sidney J. Holbrook, B, and hereby is authorized and empowered for and on behalf of the authority to negotiate, execute, and to deliver such agreement and any and all reasonable and necessary documents in furtherance thereof.
Thank you, Clayton. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Joyce, second?
Second.
Sal, second. Tom, are you going to talk about this?
Yes. This is this is a lining project that we typically do every year, at least once. Sometimes we have 2, depending on the budget. We have $1.2 million in the capital budget that you guys approved a couple months ago for lining. And we put together a project that we call it the Olive Street area cured in place lining project. It's about 4,000 feet of lining of unreinforced concrete pipe built in 1870 and 500 feet of brick lining. This is one of those projects where really was not directly on the radar recently. Until recently we found some that this pipe was in poor condition, and one of the reasons was it was identified in the old historic City of New Haven mapping as being clay tile, which is generally in better shape than the concrete pipe. We've pretty much lined most of the concrete pipe in the city that's critical. So this is kind of an outlier, so we jumped right on it and put a package together, or we're in the process of putting a package together in anticipation for not having the board meeting in August. We went with a not to exceed $950,000, including contingency. Since this is we do this every year, we generally get the same 5 contractors bidding very competitively on this job. Usually it's Green Mountain, Citriform, Michaels, Granite Inliner, and Spinello, although it's open to anybody. Generally, those are the guys that show up and bid. That combined with the fact that I don't think there's a lot of lining contracts going out because the municipalities are kind of not as, I guess, nimble as we are, as able to put projects out. So I think we'll get really good numbers. So those 2 together and not wanting to wait, that's why we're going with this not to exceed 950, and then we'll proceed normally like we always do. We'll bid it, publicly open it, evaluate the bids, and then award to the lowest bidder. And we expect it to be much lower than that, but this is, well, it should be lower, but if we build in the contingency, the 950 seemed to be a good number. And like I said, we have 1.2 million in the budget. If you want to look on the map here, you can all see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's the sand piles over here. Here's 260 East Street. The blue lines here shown, that's pretty much the project limits. I'll click to a, this is an easier map here. This identifies the exact project limits. Like I said, 500 feet of brick pipe, and about 4,000 feet of unreinforced concrete pipe, and you know, dating back to 1870. Once we line it, it'll turn into a pipe that'll be good for at least 50 years. And that's it. Any questions?
What time of day will you be doing this, Tom?
Well, we work out those details with the city. So unless it's, the city puts restriction on us to work at night, we generally do it during the day. It's all traffic based. So really Bruce Fisher and the city of New Haven dictate what time we do these pipes. They're not super large pipes, so they don't take quite as long. So it's not like some of the ones in downtown, because they're, you know, large brick sewers. You know, there's a few here that are good size, but where you have like an 18-hour cure time, those are the ones that kind of, you know, take up a ton of time and are more impactful to traffic. When you're in the 12 to 18 inch, then you're down to a cure time that's within a working day, so it's not as bad. But we have to work that out, those details out with the city, and we do that every year with them.
Tom, how long is this project going to take?
It won't take long at all. I mean, this probably take, you know, if they get right on it, the time of procuring materials will be a month or so, and then it's probably about a month worth of lining. So 3-4 working weeks, you know, as long as they get good weather and everything goes well.
All right.
Hey, Tom, this is Steve. When we have brick pipes like that, what is the mortar and how does it usually hold up?
The mortar in the brick pipes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the mortar in the brick pipes is generally in good condition. The only time you would have problems with it is in areas where there's a high hydrogen sulfide, you know, where you have a large amount of sewer flow and turbulence, where, you know, it's getting released and the hydrogen sulfide's likes to attack the concrete. It doesn't do anything to the brick. But even our oldest, some of the cement, the amount of cement they used in those mixes of the time must have been very good, because most of the time that's not an issue. What happens with the brick pipes, it's in areas that have been redeveloped and where they've knocked holes in the side of the pipe to put other pipes in, laterals, and the pipes, because they're compromised structurally, they fall apart. It's not so much the mortar itself. That's very seldom that we see that that's the problem. It's more redevelopment and, you know, someone smashing a hole of it, and then it just kind of takes off from there.
I would think being a rougher surface that more stuff would clog in there, but that apparently doesn't happen.
You know, if roots get into it, and they usually get in through the lateral, that's where you get things clogging the pipes. That's what we find most of the time.
Once the bidding project is done, when do you anticipate the actual start of the work?
We are looking to start beginning of September. I think we were looking at August. Advertised 7/20, bid opening 8/13. We would already have a board approval, which is unusual, and then notice to proceed 9/1, so September 1st.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Gabe?
Yes.
This is Bob Falsigno. I just got in.
Okay. We can hear you.
I tried 4 times. I just couldn't get in for some reason. I was muted.
Okay.
Thanks for letting us know, Bob.
Yep, I was muted. I couldn't get in, so I tried 4 times.
Are there any other questions of Tom on this resolution? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously, Deb. We're on to item 5, Clayton.
Item 5, resolved that the agreement with Executive Business Machines, Inc. relating to the provision of IT services in an amount not to exceed $185,300 as previously described in the exhibit to agenda item number 5 is hereby approved, and the Executive Director, Sidney J. Holbrook, be and hereby is authorized and empowered for and on behalf of the authority to negotiate, execute, and deliver such agreements and any and all reasonable and necessary documents in furtherance thereof.
Thank you, Clayton. Someone move this?
I'll move it.
That was,
Bobby.
oh, Bobby, okay. And a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Mike. Gabe, are you talking?
Yes, Tommy, can you take the map off?
I'm sorry, yeah.
This appears every year in July because EBM appears in several locations in the budget. Louis sets up all the purchase orders. At the end of the year, EBM ends up with about 185,000, a little more than that. And we do this for the auditor's review because there's several different line items that they appear in, and all of them, they actually pay for things that are passed through, and we pay them for those things. Just to make sure that the auditors see the board approval, because it's over 50,000, that the total amount of EBM services is that 185,300. Even though they were approved as part of the budget, we bring them to the board in July with the total purchase order so that the auditors understand that it was approved by the board because the total is more than 50,000, even though it's not more than 50 in a single line item.
So where it says IT budget, Gabe,
This is an example of some of the line items. Every one of these is a purchase order, and then there's other ones as well.
just for this company,
Just for EBM.
just for EBM. And under notes, it's who was the beneficiary of that work, or
That's who specifically
the work was done
identified
for?
Well, it's not done yet, but
Okay.
it's who actually the purchase order was the requester.
Okay.
I mean, the work itself has all been approved as part of the budget process. This is just so that the auditors following year understand that the board knew that there was an over a $50,000. When they tabulate the vendor payments, EBM will come out at 180,000, but it wasn't one project. So conceptually, it wouldn't have to be approved because everything is less than 50,000, but collectively, it's 180.
Okay. Good work for clarity. Any comments on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously as well, Debbie. And we are on to item 6. Yep.
Item number 6, resolved that the designation of unrestricted debt service reserve from the unspent debt service budget for the authority's 2020 fiscal year for future debt service, as further described in the exhibit to agenda item number 6, in an amount not to exceed $385,954, is hereby authorized and approved in all respects, and the proper officers of the authority be and hereby are authorized, empowered, and directed for and on behalf of the authority to take any and all reasonable and necessary actions in furtherance thereof.
Thanks, Clayton. Do we have a motion?
I'll move it.
Thanks, Jeff.
I'll second.
Bob seconds.
So this is mine. We had a clean water fund that did not close in the last fiscal year. So we actually moved the monies and designate the monies that can be used as debt service. More for clarification and the audit purposes, as well as the auditors will be here this month for last fiscal year. Sometimes the clean water funds, we schedule a closing, it doesn't occur, the project drags on, or the treasurer's office hasn't approved some of the funding. But for this specific one, it should have closed last fiscal year. It didn't, so we're going to move the monies for future debt service.
Okay. Basically, bit of housekeeping.
That's all.
Any questions for Gabe? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously as well. 7 on the agenda is our executive summary, and I will turn it over to Sid.
Okay, I'm sure that the collapse of the 30-inch pipe in Hamden is the main topic of concern of the board this evening. So I'm going to start with asking Gary give you a brief overview of how it came about, or how we think it came about, and what occurred consequently after the collapse. Gary was the incident, or is the incident commander on this collapse. So Gary, do you want to talk a little bit about what brought it about, or what we thought brought it about, and what we did in response?
All right. Good evening, everyone. Guess basically on July 6th, this was Monday, about 5 a.m., 5:10 a.m., there was a call received that we had sewage flowing down the street on Whitney Avenue, next to the Lake Whitney Dam area there. We responded with we set out our calls, we got our crews in. Layden, the contractor, was already there because they were doing their work for the replacement there. So we had all kind of hands on deck coming in there. It appears that, the corrosion, which we had experienced before when we saw that hole in the grass area and saw water flowing, which is what initiated the response initially to do the line replacement. So that's why Layden, the contractor, was there to do that work. That Monday morning, basically the line collapsed. That material fell into the line, so it clogged it. Then the hole filled up, and that's what let it overflow and running down into the street there. Upon arrival there, the first thing was coming up with the plan and looking at, a lot of the bypass pumping was set up to be done. The next day, they were coming in to put the line stop. So the pumps were there, the line for that was there, but the crew was not. The contractor gave them a call. Since they were ready to kind of come in, they were actually there Monday afternoon. They worked throughout the night to get that line stop in so we could go to the, the permanent bypass that was set up for the construction. But in the meantime, seeing that was going to take us into, Tuesday to get that done, we started looking at the flow going down the road and wanted to, minimize the impact and contact with people there. We started to push it in along the curb, move the Jersey barriers, move some of the traffic stops there. Eventually, too, we put sandbags along that line to divert it into the gutter, keep it in the gutter there, and it was flowing down the hill into the catch basin, and from the catch basin, it flowed to the Mill River on that. Basically, the plan that had come up, knowing that everything was scheduled to do the permanent bypass for the construction, that since that was going to take, approximately a day, we put in an 8-inch pump we had there, so we had to call and get some line, the piping to get down. The nearest manhole that you can put this line back into is on Park Street in New Haven. So was 2,100 feet down the road. So that was a little bit of a a job getting the piping coming in. So we did basically get that in by the afternoon, and then they started laying that pipe down there. We had to close the Whitneyville Museum because we crossed that driveway. We also closed Park Street because the line went down there to find a manhole. This is the part, because this is a low pressure sewer with a siphon effect to it, it's a full pipe, so there are no manholes in that whole section. So that's why bypassing around that was difficult. We had to go so far down. That's why for the construction part of it there, they put this line stop in, which allowed them to stop the line much closer to the construction project and then have access to that pipe. So that was what was going on there. We then actually hooked up a 6-inch pump where we were pumping that to the catch basin to take it off of the ground. So it wasn't running down the road, so that it was contained going out to the Mill River there. And, our exposure of the workforce is what we were looking to minimize at that point. So that night, by 9:30 at night, we had this 8-inch pump going through the 8-inch line. That couldn't handle all. We had a surcharge condition in that pipe from the collapse. That's a long line there. It's the one we spoke of at the previous meeting. This Mill River interceptor goes all the way back to Quinnipiac University, Sleepy Giant there. That's the top end of that. It then comes all this way down there. So it has, and it's not very flat, but it has enough, and it's a 42-inch line. It has enough that you can build up quite a bit of sewage there. So it took us through the night there, where we still had a bypasser going. That 8-inch pump wasn't covering it all. About 9 o'clock in the morning, they were able to shut that off there. We had gotten the line down. They had to turn it on and off a couple times just to maintain it, the level down in the hole. But by 1 o'clock that day, they had gotten the line stop in, they got those bypass pumps running, so then the complete flow was going through the line as was intended for the construction project. So that took in the full volume, and so the bypass stopped at that point. We did a calculation of the time when it ran unimpeded. That line flows on average about 3 million gallons a day. So you look at that's about 2,000 gallons a minute. So that's what we use in our calculations, that up until that 9:30 at night, that full amount was going out. And then after 9:30, a majority of it was going into the contained within the pipe, being pumped down to that Park Street manhole, with left, with the part we couldn't pump was then still overflowing. That's why that was intermittent until that till Tuesday morning there. Cleanup then prevailed after we got that stopped. We had sewage over there. We've been doing actually quite a bit there for ground remediation in the area, especially around the Whitney Museum, as that was impacted there. So we've done a cleanup on that. We put some new wood chips in for the area where they next to the museum. We also went into, with the health department with New Haven, we posted some no fishing signs into that area there. She also wanted them to be bilingual there, worried that a lot of people in the Fairhaven section are Spanish speaking and wouldn't be, say, understanding maybe all this that is on the news. So we posted them. Then she asked to, do a cleanup of the fish. So we had gotten a couple of boats, and on Friday and then Monday we went in and cleaned up what was a little bit left on there. We were planning to go back in on Saturday, but there was a big prediction of, they were at that time talking about 2 to 4 inches of rain. So we decided not to put the guys out in the boat on the river on that day. We came in Monday and cleaned up what little bit was there. I think, above the tide gates is good. Below the tide gates, there are some, bunker fishing. There's a lot of bunker in the river there. So we feel that we, cleaned up our spot. We've been, talking with them. They're doing some testing on the Mill River, and when they see that number get lower, that's when she would want to take down the no fishing requirement in that area. So I think that's kind of it in a nutshell. Any questions?
Okay, Gary, thank you. Before we get into questions, and before I finish up, I do want you to know that we have received a FOIA request from Save the Sound. So just so you all are aware of that. After the spill and after what occurred towards the end of last week, We conducted a post-incident incident evaluation to sit down and talk about what occurred over the course of the spill and what we could do better. If there's any failing that I could see, and we all feel that we did all we could do to contain it. We did all we could do to respond to the incident. If there was any failing at all, it was the way that notification was conducted. Notifications were conducted. So as a result, we determined that we have an emergency response plan that we follow. All right, it's part of how we respond to these emergencies like this. This is a level 2 incident. We are going to change our emergency response plan to reflect the notifications of a level 1. We now will be including, as far as notifications, all the chief elected officials of all our member towns, the directors of engineering, the directors of public works, the New Haven Health Department, Quinnipiac Health Department, and East Shore Health Department. All of our board of directors will be contacted. We will first send out an email, and then we will follow up with phone calls. A compliance officer will also be put in place to ensure that all of these notifications have been made. We have, at this point, turned this over to our insurance company. We're hoping that we feel that there is insurance in place that would cover us on the incident, if not in whole, in part. And that's how we're going to respond as far as the notification issue is concerned. So at this point, I'll open it up for conversation. I don't know, Steve or Clayton?
Yeah, well, the first thing I want to say is I think that the staff did a really excellent job with this situation to get it under control very quickly. I was there at 6 o'clock the first day. The Whitney Avenue major artery was open and it was clean. They were working, as Gary had explained, to get the bypass done. This was all done very, very efficiently and very quickly, just an unfortunate event. So I just want to make that comment to start with.
Thank you, Steve. Anybody else? No one else has anything they'd like to add or any questions that you might have? Okay.
I would also say I did communicate with the mayor of Hamden where this occurred. He was apprised of the situation, complimented us on handling it the way we did. So want everybody to know that as well.
Okay, if there's nothing else on that issue, it was a terrible, terrible event, and it's the first spill we've had here since 2003. So we've talked many times about other authorities that had to deal with these kind of spills. We'd always say, you know, it's a terrible thing, and now we had to deal with it ourselves. That's the bad news. Now, we've got some good news for you. And I'm going to ask Gabe to share some of our efforts with you that has resulted in a really, something that's really good for the authority.
So in everybody's board package, we included one of these official statements that you got. It's really a lot of information. Some of it you've seen as part of the audit. This is what went out. We finally did our refunding. The timing fell into place after putting it out for months. And We saved $2.9 million overall with a present value savings of $2.3 million. So we're thrilled with that. It was a huge savings. Literally 2.5 weeks before we completed this one, the savings was down to around $1 million. So by waiting that extra 3 weeks, we saved present value 2.3 million, overall 2.9. We had a great rating, AA+ from S&P. They were very happy with the authority and the operation and the financial understanding and position of us. So, I mean, we get these in a big box. The board, sometimes they see them, sometimes they don't, but it's kind of dry, but there's a lot of information in there that just gives you some understanding and background of what goes into these. This is a pretty massive undertaking, really, for the financial advisors, for the finance, our department, for the lawyers, for everybody involved in this. This one dragged out a lot longer than most of them do, but the savings was actually more than what normally occurs. So we're real happy with that.
Yeah, I would say that I want to give Gabe a lot of credit on this. I was ready to pull the trigger at $1 million, and I think maybe Glenn was too, but he kept saying, no, we're going to get more, we're going to get more. And he held out, and we got it up to close to $3 million overall for the life of the bonds. And it was nice to get the comments back saying that, you know, one of the reasons we got this kind of refund was because of having this, our bond rating as high as it is. So hopefully they'll continue to go on like that. So anyway, great job, Gabe, and our finance department, and Glenn participated in this, and our people down in New York that worked on this also. So it was nice to have. I thought we would have that as the main topic of the executive director's report tonight, but it's unfortunate. But anyway, anybody have any questions or comments or on that issue? Okay. Does anybody have any comments or questions on any issues facing the authority at this point?
I just have one question about our work with any ongoing work with Yale. Probably Tom can answer this. Because of the virus, has there been any interruption in any work that we're doing with Yale?
The one Clean Water Fund project where we're doing with St. Rayfields, they were kind of pushing us on that. They're no longer pushing us, so there was a delay on their project. It's not delaying us, but so it's actually kind of a relief to us because the pressure's off of us to be in advance of their schedule. So the St. Rayfields campus expansion came to a screeching halt, from my understanding.
And there were no other issues with any construction companies that we're working with?
No.
No. Okay.
No, I mean, I think a lot of the contractors, when we do put work out, you know, for example, the Farview work, they're ecstatic to get that work. I feel the same way. I've my communication with some of the lining contractors. That's why I think it's a really great opportunity to get this job out on the street. I think we're going to get great numbers.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, we will continue in doing this Zoom meeting in August. We will work on trying to make it easier to connect, and we take all the comments and note them related to the notification process. All right, Jeff?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeff, that was a good suggestion. I mean, you never know what's going to come up. We may need to meet. I think the Zoom meetings have really, handled all the issues that we needed to deal with in the time frame that we've had to. It isn't quite like, the personal meetings, but do you have any other suggestions? Do you see any deficiency in the format or something that we could change to make them more effective?
Anybody?
Well, I was asking Jeff, but if anybody has any suggestions.
Sal does a lot of these.
You
Sal,
guys,
anything?
this is great. No, it's running perfect. If you send the link out, it's easy. You click on the link and you go right into the
Yeah.
and it's just easier. See, I do it so often. I go to Zoom, I put join meeting, I tap the code in and then the password and I'm in. There's many ways of doing it, but for the board members, put the link in. This way, if they're in a jam, they could use their phone. I use my phone many times. It's not that hard on the phone either. I've been in a car. I've been in many places having meetings. You're doing fine. It's just when you're in that room, you fix that problem, the echoing. So it's a learning curve, and I think we'll be doing these for a while. I don't want to say it, but it doesn't look good right now, in my opinion. So we're doing.
Well, fortunately, we're in Connecticut. We took a hit to get it under control, but we, derived a benefit from that. I think we're doing well right now.
We're doing
we
well.
We have to keep it that way.
Well, the problem is people are coming from other states to enjoy our beaches, and they should be quarantined. I go on Facebook and see things. People are not wearing masks. They're interacting with each other. Me and my wife stay home. I'm just letting you know I don't go anywhere.
Good policy. Okay, item 8 on the agenda is any other new business? Do we have any new business? No. There's no new business. Call to the public. Ernie, still no one from the public. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move it.
Clayton and Mike will second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. We're adjourned.
Ray, you're all set, Ray. Okay. Thank you so much.